believe Mendoza goes and wins this game for Indiana?
I will say this: if he does, by the way,
who's your next elite power?
The 3-2-5-0 prediction in the Red River Shootout was something. But me guys telling you back in June that Fernando Mendoza was going to be the first overall pick. Yeah. If you go to my bookie right now, look at see who the odds are to be the first overall pick.
It'll take me a second to pull that up.
Yeah, just pull it when you get a chance. I'm asking for a friend, as they say.
For a friend, I'll look at it.
Do I believe? I'm starting to think Indiana has a shot. I believed early in the week that Oregon was going to run them out of the building, but I think this game could be really, really good.
Yeah, so that's LT's headline.
Did you get the Mendoza shines?
Yeah, I did.
Okay.
Yeah. I didn't get that.
The Mendoza line.
Oh, Mendoza line. Okay.
Yeah. It's not good when you have to explain it, but again.
That's good. Fernando Mendoza, best odds for the overall first pick.
That's crazy.
Now the betting favorite.
The betting favorite for overall first pick. Dante Moore, your second favorite. Lenoris, this is all at mybookie.ag. Lenoris Sellers, your third favorite.
Yeah. I don't have a problem with that, though. I mean, look, I've seen more from Sellers than we ever saw from Anthony Richardson. Yep. Not that Anthony Richardson to Indianapolis worked out, but they're just basing this on ceiling.
Yeah. Number 4,
Ty Simpson.
5-start Ty Simpson. 5-start Ty Simpson.
Do you think Alabama in their head think Ty Simpson is going to be back next year?
I really don't know, Jim. I don't know.
I brought this up to Aaron Suttles on Bama and Bourbon. I said, I don't want to, start this already.
I can't believe we're talking about this after 5 weeks.
But, I was told over the summer, and I'm sure you guys were, that Keelan is way too good to keep off the field, and he fully expects to be the starting quarterback next year. And I think everybody in that program did. But if Ty's like, I want to come back,
you have to say yes.
You have to say yes.
Yeah. There's an old saying in the trailer park, have a Coke and a smile.
Yeah. But you know what? If you're Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, look at what we did for Michael Penix.
Yep.
Look at what Ty did by staying here. You're still going to make 7 figures.
That's the one. I think if you're Keelan Russell, all you got to do is go talk to Ty Simpson and say, do you regret this? I mean, if he asks Ty, do you regret it? Simpson's going to say, no, I don't regret it.
No, but if Oregon calls and is like, hey, Will Stein wants to coach you up,
it's going to be tough.
Depends on the situation.
Yeah. But if you're DeBoer, you look to maybe what Sark's going through right now. Maybe what Kirby's going through right now.
Oh, I go with what I know.
Yeah.
The known, if Ty continues to play like this.
Even if it's for 1 year.
That's it. Ty gets to call his shot next year, 100%.
Okay, let's do my headline. Now, what's that test, that ink block test?
The Rorschach?
Yeah, the Rorschach.
Rorschach?
Yeah, since Trent Dilfer did that this week for us, he did the white spot, black spot. We've got the Rorschach Trent test where apparently when he goes to his ink block is all golfers. No matter what ink block they throw up, it looks like a golfer to him.
Speed.
Yeah. If they would have said, what do you see here? If he asked that and people were like, your golf ball printed on that.
Yeah.
I believe you're out of bounds, Coach.
So that's Trent's test. And every time he sees the ink block, it's a golfer there. But UAB gets the win. He
37-36.
He passes the Rorschach test.
Yeah.
UAB 37-36 over FAU. Power football, Keith.
High
football, Keith. Alabama outruns Mizzou, and then
why has he got Donald Trump's signature?
We right down the street here. Hugh's holding it up. Signature win for Hugh Freeze as they beat Georgia.
That's right. Signed by President Donald Trump. Very good. Football.
That's the early headlines.
Next Round gear all in one place. NextRound.store. From our Next Round hats to the logo tees to the all-time best-selling Y'all Can Have the Rest shirt. You can look your best by shopping with us at NextRound.store. Take the next round anywhere with NextRound.store.
It's bow time. Tired of choosing between sweet and savory? Why not have both? Introducing Bojangles' new Chicken and Bowberry Waffles. The bold Cajun chicken filet you love, now drizzled with a Bowberry honey glaze and sandwiched between 2 warm waffles. Which means your favorite meal of the day just met your new favorite dish. And lucky for you, it's served all day. But it's only here for a limited time, so try Chicken and Bowberry Waffles at Bojangles today. It's bow time.
Have you been injured in an 18-wheeler accident, company truck accident, car accident, or work-related accident? Call Alabama's largest personal injury firm. Alexander TNR Trial Attorneys will fight for every dollar you deserve, and it won't cost you a dime. Trust me. What do you say, man?
Call me, Alabama.
Call 659-777-7777 or go to Shenara.com.
No representation made that the legal services provided are better than legal services provided by other attorneys.
The alarm sounds, and we're over the halfway point of the college football season.
Monday Morning Live, Tom Luginbill, Jim Dunaway. We'll get to the firings that went on in college football. We'll even talk about the calls that didn't go Auburn's way in just a second. But I want to start with Alabama because why start Monday in sadness when you can start with happiness? Tom, good morning. How are you?
Good morning, Jim. I'm doing great, man. I can't believe we're already 7 weeks done.
Yeah, me too. But I can't believe after watching Alabama again, this time on the road to a pretty good Missouri team, that this Alabama team lost to Florida State. It's still mind-boggling to me seeing what Alabama's defense was able to do to another good running game in Missouri, that they had the game plan they had in Tallahassee that allowed Florida State to run the ball as much as they did, and they didn't force them to pass the ball. But again, I want to start positive. Alabama wins the game 27-24. There were many challenges in that game. Let's start first with what that defense did to Missouri and maybe how Missouri got away from what their bread and butter is, and that's running the football. Why did they stop running the ball? Did Kane Womack's defense just take it away and they didn't see anything they liked, so they only gave Hardy a handful of carries in that game?
Yeah, I was a little bit surprised at how selective they were in their spots with Hardy. But I think also, too, as you watch the run game, they didn't have as many downhill opportunities as they normally do. I thought Alabama did a really nice job of holding the point of attack and then spilling the play, making it go lateral as opposed to vertical more often than Missouri would like. Now, Missouri makes their living. If you went to coaches' clinics across the country in the offseason and said, I want to learn how to run the stretch outside zone, you would see Missouri's offense in clinic video. But eventually what happens is that stretch outside zone's got to put the foot in the ground and get this way. And I thought Alabama did a really good job. Now, it's interesting, too, is for a couple weeks in a row now, Alabama on that first series of the game on defense looks like they're on cruise control, right? And then all of a sudden they get to the sideline, somebody slaps them a couple times in the face, and it's like, okay, we're woken up. We got a feel for this thing. Let's go. It's interesting how they do that. And then all of a sudden it's like they flip a switch and they become a different team on that side of the ball.
Yeah, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, when I was around the program a lot closer back in those days, the belief was they were very basic defensively for the first 10, 15 plays that are often scripted by the other team, right? Yeah. Because that's when you're going to get something you haven't prepared for, is what they always explained to me. And that's why those first drives, I'm always like, well, that looks scary. They went down the field so quickly. Yeah. 6 plays, 78 yards. Oh, here we go. But then I'm always interested on that second and third drive by what you're talking about. Is that a philosophy you're always comfortable with, too, that you keep it basic on defense early on?
Well, yeah, because what you've done is you've done the game breakdowns from all the previous games, and you know exactly, okay, when they're on this hash in this area of the field, they're going to get X this percentage of times, Y this percentage of times, and that's what they know going in. And to your point, they're going to get a feel for that. They're going to say, okay, we see this formation, this is what we expect. We see this motion or shift, this is what we expect. We see the ball in this hash mark, and then you go through that first series, and invariably the opposition is going to come out and they may line up in a completely different formation or go formation into the boundary on the plus 47, and they had not done that above 10% of the time in the previous 5 weeks between the 50 and the 40. I mean, it's that detailed. And so you kind of get a feel for each other. You trade punches a little bit, and then, you make your adjustments along the way. So, yeah, I think there's a lot of validity in that approach. And more often than not, now this didn't happen last week because they went right down the field on Alabama, but more often than not, when you have superior players, you can oftentimes in that opening stanza maybe not be ideally in what you want to be and still get away with it because you're better than the other team.
This Alabama offense is something that is really comfortable to watch if you've got nerves of steel. But they get into some third and fourth down situations. You're like, well, here we go, because Kalen DeBoer is very aggressive. They're going to go for this thing. They're not going to take an easy three. They're going to go for it. And their quarterback right now, Ty Simpson, is making some throws. Best throw of the game, best throw catch of the game to Lasir Brooks on that 4th down and 8, where he drops it up. Yeah, he drops it up between the numbers and the sideline over a well-covered defender. It's equally as good of a catch to keep your feet in bounds and hold on to the ball as it is a throw. But that's a great throw and catch there, man. And you look at Ty's tape, and they're all over the place, right?
It's unbelievable. I texted you after the bang 8 into the back of the end zone. That was about a 30-yard throw on a rope.
Yeah.
In a front porch window. And then the 4th and 8, like, the ball could not have gone anywhere else. It has no shot of being completed outside of where the ball ended up. And that's why, accuracy is so critical and so important, because if you don't have it, you don't have the ability to make those plays at special times when you absolutely got to have it. And, I know this is going to sound crazy, and I've spent this weekend, because each and every week, and you know this because we've talked about it, and I've been talking about this kid like this for 4 or 5 weeks about how special I think he is. He reminds me of Andrew Luck at Stanford.
Wow.
Where the ball handling, the footwork, the deceptive athleticism, the accuracy. We talk about anticipation and timing and being decisive. One of the reasons why it's so difficult to rush him, like, that's who he looks like. That's who he reminds me of. And that's why he's going to grow and become more and more attractive if he keeps playing at this level. Because if he does, look out. I mean, I just think he's an absolute difference maker right now.
More on Ty Simpson and Alabama, and we'll get to Auburn and everything else going on in college football. This is Monday Morning Live, always brought to you by our friends at MyBookie, mybookie.ag. One account, one wallet, bet football all weekend, and then hit the slots after dark with their casino right there. You can get the bonus, all the bonuses right there when you use the code next round, mybookie.ag. There's a bet back bonus where you got no stress there. You get one reload, all at mybookie.ag. They've got unbelievable casino games you can enjoy there. Baseball happening tonight. MyBookie's where bettors win together, because bragging's good, but cashing is better. mybookie.ag. He's completing 76% of his passes since that Florida State game. And I'm willing to give the kid grace in his first start on the road in the rain at Tallahassee. Since then, he's been so good. There's no Ryan Williams on the stat sheet from this week. Did you think Alabama's offense could possibly look the way it looks with Ryan Williams having 0 yards in a game on the road in the SEC against a ranked team? Did you ever think that was possible?
Well, to say I didn't think it was possible, I don't know if I would say that when you consider the emergence of Isaiah Horton and Brooks, and obviously, you've got Jeremy Bernard there. But where I think that they've made a real increase in production and willingness is at the tight end position.
Yes.
And all of a sudden, that guy's becoming a sneaky little security blanket in the offense, and we hadn't been talking about that for 6 weeks. And so maybe you have a day where, then last Saturday it was Ryan Williams. Maybe next week it's Isaiah Horton or whatever. And then there's always some compliment that comes in there and seems to fill the void, revealing the depth of this Alabama offense and the confidence that they have in everybody on the field, depending on what the personnel grouping is. So is it weird to watch this offense and say, wow, these guys are at times special and don't need Ryan Williams to do it? Yeah, that's strange.
Yeah, and I understand Landmine Believer says Ryan Williams was only going to play because of the injury to Meadows there. Just pointing out that I never thought you could see zeros or lack of production from a superstar wide receiver in Ryan Williams.
Yeah.
And his importance in a decoy is I understand that. It's important for him to just run routes out there. I always thought he had to have big games for them to win. So impressed with how many different people are contributing. Even, with Jam Miller back, he has 85 yards and leaves on a concussion. You get unbelievable snaps from Kevin Riley and then Daniel Hill in this game, who catches the game winner. So many different people making plays in that offense right now. 8 different receivers, not counting the center Parker Brailsford, caught a pass in this game. Where is the ceiling for this team right now? Is there
First of all, you've forgotten about the best tailback on their team, Caden Proctor.
Yeah, I mean, seriously, every week. And And I keep pointing out to people when they bring it up, it's not in like, hey, it's 30-0 or 4 touchdown lead, and this is just refrigerator Perry
critical
scoring.
downs.
These are critical plays. 2 of them on the road at Georgia and Missouri that he's in there. I mean, this team has so many different weapons. So I'll ask the question: how good can this team be? How good can they be? And have we seen its best yet?
Listen, I think you'll see its best, and would be if I were to have a bit of a concern, because I said this going into this game. I think Jam Miller makes the offense different because he creates explosiveness in the run game.
Yeah.
And I don't think you get that same level of explosiveness out of Hill or Riley. Not saying that you don't have production, but you gotta dial in on Jam Miller, because not only can he pound it, but man, if he hits a crease or he turns the corner, he can go. And the next thing you know, all of a sudden, you start getting back under center like we talked about 2 weeks ago. And you start stretching the ball, and now the whole defense is flowing, and then creates all that production in the play pass game. I hope they get him back, and they get him back to full health, because I do think he makes them even better. And for them to be at their best, he's got to be a focal point of the offensive plan.
So Alabama wins 27-24, 3-0 in the SEC. Rivalry game, Tennessee this week, prime time, Bryant-Denny Stadium. We'll talk about that game coming up. Should be some offensive fireworks unless Bama's D flexes again like they did against Missouri. We'll see what Missouri does. They're on the road at Auburn. Speaking of Auburn, I was at Jordan-Hare Stadium this weekend. The worst call I've ever seen in my SEC coverage life. And
wow.
It's not the one you're thinking of. It's the Kirby Smart timeout call that listen, I missed the chaos on the sidelines. Going back and watching that over and over and over again, Kirby Smart, he even his mouthing timeout and how he gets away with it. Luke, the referee has to say, so did you want a timeout? No, I didn't want a timeout. I was saying he was clapping. Okay, that's fine. Delay of game. I mean, it's either a delay a game or a timeout. You can't let him reset the play clock and get a free timeout. It's the worst call I've ever seen.
And he's trying to play off of the safety at Auburn and try to create, that's disconcerting signals, and playing off what the safety was doing when he was clapping, trying to get guys lined up, and they still bought it.
Yeah, but I don't get a free timeout to complain. I can't stop a play clock, or a shot clock as Kirby calls it, to complain about a call. I don't get a free timeout. So it's either one or the other. Was it a timeout? Do you want the timeout? No. Okay, delay a game. Now you want to talk about clapping?
Why doesn't the league come out like they did against Oklahoma before the end of the day and say this is wrong, publicly acknowledge it?
Yeah. I don't know if I don't know. And then there's the review thing. And you can look at this 16 ways, different cameras, blurry cameras and everything. I thought it was a touchdown. If you're a Georgia fan, I understand, or a non-Auburn fan, I understand why you don't think it's a touchdown. But the ball and just touching the white, that line, that invisible line that goes up, you just have to touch that. To me, it's a touchdown. What did you think?
I thought it was a touchdown as well. I've spent so much time over the last 5 years or so being involved in the UFL every spring, now seeing what the ACC has adopted in their allowance of pulling back the curtain and listening to what the officials are saying and making their determination, hearing their mechanics. I really wish we could have heard something like that with this. I would have loved to have heard visually how they interpreted it and why they didn't think it was indisputable video evidence, because we always have to defer to that phrase, right?
Right.
And okay, can you buy that they didn't feel like it was indisputable? Maybe, but I think the thing that got glossed over is exactly what you mentioned. There may be a misinterpretation by some that you've got to get the ball into the end zone. No, you don't. You just have to touch the front end, meaning the end towards the field of play of the line. That's it. It's done. And to be honest with you, I thought that ball crossed that, and maybe it was for a millisecond. Okay, that's fine. And again, they're watching it in slow motion. The call's being made at game speed. And that's two different things too. And that's also a part of the mechanics of the discussion when they're making that determination. So I would have loved to have heard that too.
Yeah. And to the officials' credit, or at least their explanation, when you come up to the pile and you're unpiling everybody, it's a sea of humanity first. But when you get up there and you're pulling everybody apart and the football is at the other end zone, I guess you have to say, well, we're going to call it a fumble, right?
Yeah.
We're going to call it a fumble because the football's 100 yards away at the other end. So they call it a fumble. And by calling it a fumble, that's when you get into that replay situation. Now I've got to know for sure that it wasn't a fumble, that he broke the plane. And if you can't decide, even I said I think it's a touchdown, then I guess you stick with the call on the field. If they'd have called it a touchdown, I think it would have been a touchdown.
I totally agree with you. And so what ended up happening right there is the moment that bang bang sequence occurred, and that field judge and side judge does not run in going like this.
Yep.
It had to have been immediate. And the moment that they didn't do that, they couldn't call it anything but a fumble. And then to your point, had that guy run in there and gone like this, all right, ball gets fumbled out. They've already called touchdown. The guy runs it down to the other side. It doesn't matter. Now we're going to go up. We're going to look at it. And I still think that call would have been upheld. Because if there's no indisputable video evidence to overrule or overturn the call on the field, you have to look at it the same way had the call been made that way on the field and then upheld that call.
Yeah. And again, it's a huge call. It didn't, people will say it didn't cost Auburn the game. Would have been
17-0.
Would have been 17-0. And Georgia had 20 yards of offense at that point, 20 yards of offense. So it was a huge call. Now, that aside, you get bad breaks in life. At that point, Auburn had clock in their favor. Georgia's backed up, and they allowed Georgia to go 88 yards, some Auburn penalties, 1,000 reviews, 56 minutes of real time, it felt like, standing on the sidelines. And they gave up a field goal. And then in the second half, Auburn gets 50 yards of offense, and they don't score a point, and Georgia wins the game 20-10. So after that, Auburn was a flat line. And I felt like I kept asking the question, and everybody kept telling me post-game, including Hugh himself, no, it didn't impact us in the second half. That call did.
Yes, it did.
It took the air out of that team, and a little bit of that is coaching, and you got to get yourself back up when you're the team. And I've got a stat for you, Lukes, and I want you to talk about this. 0 points in the second half against Georgia, 7 points against A&M, 7 against Oklahoma, and 3 against South Alabama. All of that is scoring in the second half for Hugh Freeze's offense. 0 with Georgia in the second half, 7 with A&M in the second half, 7 with Oklahoma in the second half, and 3 with South Alabama in the second half. They've got a little second half problem when the other guys get into the locker room and sort of recalibrate their defense. They've got a second half offensive problem at Auburn.
They've also got what's called the middle eight problem, which I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yes.
That last 4 minutes of the second quarter, first 4 minutes of the third quarter, where you either create momentum going into the locker room and then you come out and you establish the tone of the second half in that first 4 minutes. That's also plagued Auburn. There's no way that they did not let what happened on that one play consume them. They absolutely did. And unfortunately, it's human nature, but it comes down from the coaching staff on down because you could tell how visibly upset the staff was. Well, that starts to permeate, right? And now all of your focus is, oh, well, they screwed us. Well, we can't worry about whether that happened on one play. They may have, but you got 30 minutes left to play. Like, I understand if like something like that would have happened with 8 minutes to go in the fourth quarter, right? But you had plenty of time to reestablish and get back on track. And they didn't do it. And, Hugh Freeze mentioned after the game that, we're good enough and talented enough to be in games and win games. And I totally agree with him. But he also stated we find ways to lose games.
Yeah.
And this time I think it was psychological. I think it was emotional. and it weighed them down like an anchor tied to their foot, and just would not allow for them to move forward. And I don't know, that's hard. I don't know what the solution to that is. It's not as if you're trying to not play well, but you know what? I'll go back to one consistent staple. All right, they were better on third down. 11 penalties.
Oh, wow.
How many weeks now have we watched Auburn be in double-digit penalties through 7 weeks? 5?
Yep.
6? I mean, you can't do it. And it's going to be so hard. Now, a lot of them are on defense this time. It doesn't matter where they're coming from. But, man, oh, man, that is continuing to kill them.
Yeah. For Auburn, they get Missouri at home. Jordan-Hare Stadium. It's an amazing atmosphere. Despite a lot of losing football over the last 5 years, that crowd continues to show up and put on a show down there. It was an amazing atmosphere. They deserve a better product than they're getting. They're 2-9 in their last SEC games. 2-9 in their last 11 SEC games. Well, the thing is, too, Jim.
Yeah. The thing is, too, they deserve a better outcome given the talent level. Like, I understand if you're going out there and you're just flat out outmanned, right? And you're just not good enough. They are good enough athletically to win these games. That's what the Auburn fans deserve better for.
Yeah. Now, all 3 of their losses, 2 on the road, 1 at home, are to teams that are ranked 14th or higher. But it's the SEC. That's the teams you play. You get 16th ranked Missouri coming to town this weekend. Yep. Everything else going on in college football, including the firings, and a look ahead to a big weekend coming up on Monday Morning Live here with Tom Luginbill of ESPN, the ACC Network, and Eastern Kentucky Dad. As we said here, it's a cool hat, man. I love that hat. MyBookie.ag, they bring you the show. MyBookie.ag, promo code next round, bet back bonus, casino games. Enjoy the Major League Baseball, the NFL wagering. You can do all that online. Where bettors win together, it's MyBookie.ag, promo code next round. Go and check it out. Arch Manning looked his best so far in a Texas uniform. Listen, they're not wow stats. 21 of 27, 166, 1 touchdown, and no interceptions. But he made a couple of really good off-platform throws, and he got the win 23-6 over John Mateer in Oklahoma. Your initial thoughts on Red River and a big win for Sark?
No wow passing numbers, but wow efficiency.
Right.
I think that's the thing you're looking for if you're Steve Sarkisian. Now, let's look at what also contributed to that. All of a sudden, Texas ran the ball fairly effectively. Okay. All of a sudden, that pass protection that run game allows for them to have a little more time in pass protection, really sell the play action pass game. But I thought Arch Manning, who played his guts out a week ago in that loss at Florida, has shown some maturity. The moment was not too big for him. He now all of a sudden looks like he's got some confidence, which is scary for that football team right now. They were good on third down. And at the end of the day, they didn't turn the ball over. Oklahoma turned the ball over 3 times, right? In a game like that, it's going to cost you. And so they made fewer errors. But I thought the quarterback for 2 weeks in a row was really starting to grow up, Jim.
Yeah. Now, John Mateer says no excuse with his thumb. Pain was manageable and all that. But he looked different. In that. And Texas made him look different. 5 sacks, 3 interceptions. We knew that Texas defense was really, really good. Oklahoma's defense was good. But John Mateer, whether it was Russ, whether it was the thumb, whether it was the best defense he's faced so far, maybe, he didn't look very good in this game.
No, he didn't. And, I've said this to you for several weeks now. Without John Mateer, they cannot run the football.
That's right.
Right? Well, now with John Mateer struggling, they are completely one-dimensional. Texas pinned their ears back and came after them. And listen, I've dealt with a thumb injury on my throwing hand before. Pain is manageable, but your grip strength and your ability to grip the football is a really important component because you've got to be able to control the football. And I didn't think he threw the ball confidently in terms of the grip it and rip it style that he usually has, right? Everything with him is a riverboat gambler mentality. But you know what? If you're not practicing, right, you're not taking those live reps, and the little amount that you did practice, now, again, according to Brett Venables, who very clearly stated earlier in the week, well, he's got to go good on good, meaning We got to see him in 7-on-7. We got to see him on 11-on-11. Well, let's just say that was just 2 days. All right, that's probably not enough. And there's going to be a lot of people that will second guess whether that was the best decision for the team to play him. But he didn't play well for the first time all year, and it cost him.
We will see what Texas becomes down the road. Their schedule is manageable, still the easiest in the league, but they get at Kentucky, at Mississippi State, Vandy, at Georgia, Arkansas, and A&M. A manageable schedule, playoff hope still alive. We'll see what the Horns become. Also in that state, though, A&M beats Florida 34-17. An amazing run of third down defense in 3 games now. In 3 games now, the Aggies have allowed 2 of 33 on third downs against Auburn, Mississippi State, and now Florida. Have you ever
heard of that?
I've never heard of that. I mean, you win third downs, you win games, and they're winning games. They're 6-0, 3-0 in the league. Is this the most complete team in the SEC? And I think it's Bama, but is it Texas A&M? They look good on both sides of the ball.
Listen. I think it's a great question whether you want to debate Alabama or Texas A&M, but I've never even heard of a football team on defense getting off the field that often, ever. Right? So maybe I would lean toward. Now they don't have the efficiency in the passing game that Ty Simpson is providing. So if you want to trade something off right there, that would probably be it. But boy, they can bloody your nose in the run game. They get after you. They create negative plays. They get off the field on third down. They're explosive. They are playing as good a football as you'd want somebody to play. And that's what's going to make this dynamic so interesting going down the stretch. You know, you talk about peaking at the right time, getting hot at the right time. Well, this back half of the season, Texas A&M and Alabama are hell on wheels right now. And so it's going to be fun to watch this thing. But I've never been, you know me, and we go back almost 20 years. The stat line, you know, I care about third downs, turnover margin, you know, rush attempts, average yards per pass attempt, things that reveal wins and losses. But that third down is that's mind-boggling. That doesn't happen.
It doesn't. They've got to do it on the road now, though, Lugs. That was a bunch of home games for them. They're now at Arkansas, at LSU, at Missouri. Final home SEC game, South Carolina, and then they end at Texas. So a manageable schedule, but away from that beautiful building in College Station.
Yeah, and tell you, and it's tough to play, like you mentioned with Auburn, man. If you get up and you're playing well, that is a difficult place to get out of a hole. And so you're right. Now they got to go on the road. It's kind of like Oklahoma. You know, Oklahoma now is going to have to go on the road for a significant stretch after having the confines of playing in Norman those first few weeks.
That's exactly right. They at South Carolina, home to Ole Miss, then at Tennessee, at Bama. So the Sooners, to stay in it's got to get it done on the road. Real quickly, Ole Miss, they're down 14-10 midway through the third quarter. Trinidad Chambliss gets it done late with 3 total touchdowns, 24-21 on a pretty blah Washington State team. Ole Miss goes to Georgia now. You played the game. You know that you can do look ahead. You're 18 to 22-year-olds. Is this a concern for me if I'm an Ole Miss fan that against Washington State, now Georgia, the big test on the road, or do I have concerns going to play Kirby and them?
No, I don't think you should have concerns because that's the easy one to get up for. I think you need to be very, very happy and appreciative if you're an Ole Miss fan that you actually won the game while you were on cruise control for 4 quarters. And I applaud Lane Kiffin for acknowledging that. I mean, he saw it. He watched it just like everybody else did. But I'll tell you what, Ole Miss did something that Penn State couldn't do. So you didn't play well. You didn't take the team seriously. You didn't prepare the way you probably should have, and you got away with it. All right, good. You got away with it. Now get back to business. Yeah.
Also, LSU beat South Carolina. Boy, Lenore Sellers 143 yards in that game. They're 1-3 in the league, 3-3 overall. LSU's offense still is not fantastic. 5 games in the FBS. They haven't gotten more than 23 points. For South Carolina, my buddy Mike Shula, who I like a lot, this was a chance, I think, for him to maybe get another head coaching job somewhere. He had Lenore Sellers, and he's the offensive coordinator. I mean, there was a chance that if this had been an offensive, juggernaut this year with Sellers, that Mike Shula could have been on some watch list to take over a head coaching job again like he had at Alabama. now he's the scapegoat. It looks like everybody's pointing to Mike Shula's offense and saying, man, who broke Lenora Sellers?
Yeah, and just at 4:00 in the morning, Sunday morning, Shane Beamer fires Lonnie Teasley, the offensive line coach, and he's going to move Sean Elliott, who'd been the offensive line coach there previously before taking the Georgia State head job, back into the offensive line coach role, just to have a different voice and a different perspective. But you're starting to see Shane Beamer start looking at solutions now to figure out, is it scheme? Is it motivation? Is it technique? Is it discipline? They're heavily penalized, 13 penalties for South Carolina. That's not going to cut it. They are super streaky right now. And I almost feel like Lenora Sellers is playing very Jalen Milroe-like, where like the good is super, super good, but then the struggles just kind of look icky.
Yeah.
Right? You're like, oh, golly. But I think it's a combination of things. I don't think they've played very well on the offensive line. They've been heavily penalized. That puts you behind the chains. But they've been a frustrating team in terms of consistency with a very, very difficult schedule.
All right, we'll get to the Franklin firing in a second. I want to give Indiana a lot of props here. This is the Monday Morning Live show on the Next Round platform. Like and subscribe. A lot of new listeners today. And we appreciate you being with us. He's Tom Luginbill of ESPN. We're brought to you by our friends at mybookie.ag, mybookie.ag, promo code next round. Indiana, they go on the road. They win at Oregon. Is it safe to say national championship contender Indiana now that you've seen them do it against a top 5 team on the road?
I think it's safe to say that they've got some components, particularly in the offensive line, defensive front 7, and then the quarterback, who I think is a top 5 overall pick. And I got to see him last year, obviously, at Cal quite a bit. They've got components that put you in a position to run that gauntlet if you make the playoff. That's the thing.
Right.
Is we talk about being a playoff team. Well, being a playoff team is not the same thing as being good enough to compete for a national championship, because that is such a long run that the only way you're going to be able to pull it off is if you have great quarterback play and you've got depth and production up front. If you're a skill-based team, you could potentially make the playoff. You will not get past the quarterfinals. Yeah. All right. And so I do think that they are that type of football team. They're so confident and they're so athletic, and they can run the football. They can stop the run. I thought it was a really important hurdle moment for Fernando Mendoza, because if you go back to the week previous at Iowa, it was their lowest offensive output of the season against a very average Iowa team. That's a very difficult place to play. And Fernando Mendoza made the play at the end of the game to make that to get them over the hump. They won 20-15. Well, now you go and you're in another hostile environment on a 3-hour time zone difference against an elite level football team who's had a quarterback playing at an elite level. And now you got to win that game.
Yep.
And to me, like Fernando Mendoza has done what everybody was expecting Drew Aller to do for the last 3 years.
Wow. Great point. Great point. Yeah.
And that puts you in position to be considered legitimate within that conference and within the national picture of a potential national championship.
Yeah, just to flush the pick six 2020 and lead your team on basically a game-winning 75-yard drive. That's legit.
Yep.
Yeah. Impressive.
Really good.
Impressive win for Indiana. They were more physical than Oregon was. They had 6 sacks in the game. Just an impressive win for Kirk Cignetti. His name obviously will be mentioned for the Penn State opening and any other opening that pops up because of the rebuild he has done with the Indiana Hoosiers, who have their highest ranking ever at number 3 in the AP poll behind Ohio State and Miami. Now to Penn State, they fired James Franklin, a $45 million buyout or whatever they settled behind closed doors, and we'll see if James Franklin knows he's going to go somewhere else and coach. We'll see if there's any interest in James Franklin. How did this get so bad at Penn State? When you lose, there was a time Penn State was about to beat Oregon, and everything was going to be great in Happy Valley. They lose that. They lose to woeful UCLA, and then they lose to Northwestern. Wow.
two worst teams in the conference. And now obviously UCLA is playing better right now, but going into the matchup, both of those teams, two worst teams in the conference. Listen, you're 4-21 against AP top 10 teams. You're 1-13 combined against Ohio State and Michigan. You're 1-15 against top 5 teams. As much as you appreciate and admire James Franklin and what he has done at Penn State and what he inherited and turned it into rather quickly, at the end of the day, this is the most bottom line profession in the world. And you make those inroads and you make that progression, the expectation is that you're going to eventually win the Michigan game. You're going to eventually win the Ohio State game. And I know that they were a game away and really an interception away from playing for the national title last year. But you absolutely, positively cannot come into this season with that nucleus of players and perform like that. It's as if the negativity surrounding James Franklin has completely consumed the football team.
Yeah.
Like they can't get out from under that cloud. And, you could very easily say that this was a path Clemson could have gone down too. But what did Clemson do? They just beat the two worst teams in the ACC to get out of that rut, right? And they had maybe an even more preseason on paper talented team than Penn State. So you can't, the point is, those two losses are so inexcusable that they end up overshadowing all of the accomplishments. And then the record against highly ranked teams is, at the end of the day, the nail in the coffin.
Yeah, I mean, there's no coming back from this. David Hale writes at ESPN, your colleague, first known team to lose consecutive games to 20-point or more underdogs. Both those games, they were more than 20-point favorites, and they lose back-to-back games, one of them at home. And again, I'll go back to, it's Northwestern. It's going to nobody's going to be happy about the win, even if you get the win, a close win over Northwestern, but you led with 10:50 to go. You took the lead, and Jim Knowles' defense didn't stop Northwestern from driving down and getting the go-ahead score.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
How does that happen, right? And on top of it, there's not a player playing for Northwestern right now, right, that was probably offered by Penn State.
Right.
Right? Or would you say would be in there 2 to 3 deep? Those types of things I think are so glaring right now that there is no way to overcome that.
Ohio State beat Illinois on the road. They sacked Luke Altmaier 4 times. They got 3 turnovers. They're being called the best defense since 2021 Georgia by some. Ohio State's so good, so predictable that we're not giving them enough credit. Is that a fair statement?
I agree with that.
Yeah.
And I've been guilty of it too. Like you watch them and you sit there and, we talk so much about Ty Simpson, right? And you look at what Julian Sayin has done, and it's very easy to say, oh, well, he's got all the best personnel around him, this and that. Well, he still has to make decisions. He still has to play the position.
Right.
He has to get out of a bad play and into the right one. He's got to set a protection. He's got to produce a positive result once the ball's snapped. And for a redshirt freshman, he's played out of his mind, right? And we haven't acknowledged that enough. And I think Ryan Day kind of likes it. Like, I think Ryan Day is really enjoying the place they're in right now in terms of the national framework, letting Indiana and Miami and Texas A&M and Texas Tech hog all of the headlines. Right. And nobody's really talking about Ohio State. And it's a perfect little spot for them to be just chilling under the radar.
Also in that league, USC beats Michigan. We'll see if Michigan can hang into the conversation. For USC, rivalry game, Notre Dame primetime this week. Winner of that game still in playoff contention, loser out of playoff contention. That USC team's fun to watch.
They are. They're a lot of fun to watch. And Michigan is tough to watch.
Yeah.
Like watching Michigan, I was like, man, you guys got to start cheating again. For crying out loud. I think SC's actually, first of all, this is the best team that Lincoln Riley has had. And again, another one that's getting glossed over up front. This team has been so average to below average for the previous 5 years of the places that matter. They've had the quarterback play. They've been good enough there. They've had skill. But now all of a sudden they've got some physicality to them. I think D'Anton Lynn coming over when he made that hire on defense was a 180-degree different approach for SC, and it's made them a better overall football team. But I got to be honest with you, Jim, I still think Notre Dame's pretty darn good.
Oh, I mean, C.J. Carr can play football, man.
So I had to do a ranking of the top freshmen and redshirt freshman quarterbacks in college football, in my opinion, that have played through the first half of the season. I had C.J. Carr number 1. I had Julian Sayin number 2. And I think he's really good, going to be a great player, just scratching the surface. But there's a lot of teams that would have had to play Texas A&M and Miami in the first 2 weeks that would have been 0-2.
Yep, that's why they're back to 13th in the AP poll, is because you look and their losses are to number 2 and number 4, and they looked okay in those losses. Speaking of Miami, let's move ahead in our final few minutes here to look at the games coming up this weekend. It's another great slate of games. Tom Luginbill of ESPN is with us Monday morning live. The next round starts at the top of the hour, a little 3-hour show we do every day. MyBookie.ag brings you this show. MyBookie.ag, your one-stop sportsbook and casino all in one. One account, one wallet, bet football all weekend, then hit the slots after dark. No switching apps, no jumping platforms, just straight up action all right there. Promo code next round, mybookie.ag. A good one on Friday night in the ACC, Louisville and Miami. Miami's number 2 in the country. Some people think they're the best team in the country. Does Louisville have a chance to go down to South Florida and shock the world and beat Miami?
Only if they can get back to running the football effectively, okay? Isaac Brown, Duke Watson, 2 special players at running back for Louisville, but Louisville hasn't run the ball as well as you would have thought they would have coming into the season, which has put a lot of pressure on Miller Moss. And I think he's played well, but he's also played fairly streaky, particularly early in games. I don't think Louisville can get behind in this one early because Miami can overwhelm you up front, and Carson Beck is playing at a 2023 Georgia level right now for that offense. And it's a great game. It's a really, really great game. And Miami better play well for this one because all of a sudden Rhett Lashley's got SMU turned around, and SMU's playing really well. And that's who Miami's going to have to take on. And they've got the athletes to play with Miami. So I think a lot would have to go right for Louisville because Miami is the superior team.
Technically, right now, Georgia Tech, the closest contender in the ACC. They get Duke, 11 a.m. That's a game where Duke is actually the betting favorite as it opens up. Tough road for Haynes King and the Jackets on the road there in a sleepy Duke environment at 11 a.m.
Yeah, and Duke's playing good football right now, too. You know, the first 3 weeks of the season, they were a turnover fest. And then they cleaned that up, and ever since then, Darian Menza's playing at a level that looks like he's deserving the money they paid him. They're really good on defense. It's another huge challenge for Georgia Tech, who has risen to the occasion each and every week. I'm very interested to see if the Duke fan base shows up. Like, those fans, this is a good football program now. They're a consistent winner now. And when you get a big ranked opponent coming in, you got to show up and back the team. That's what's been a little disappointing for me with Duke, considering the caliber of football that they've been playing. But I don't think that there is a team, Jim, in college football right now that is more reliant on one player than Georgia Tech is. That's how good Haynes King is, and that's how important Haynes King is to Georgia Tech's success.
Okay, 10 SEC teams ranked. They all can't make the playoffs. And now they're going to continue to play each other and some elimination games this week. LSU at Vandy. Can Diego Pavia and them wake up from the loss to Alabama and send LSU reeling, or is this it for Vanderbilt's chance to make the playoffs? Who do you like?
I think
good quarterback game in Nussmeier and Pavia if either one of them can play to their ability.
Yeah, but I'll tell you right now, LSU's got to start cleaning things up. I mean, to play the way they played, as sloppy as they played, 3 turnovers, 2 of them inside the 10-yard line.
Right.
You can't play that way and expect to win week in and week out. They got to clean things up. I'd be very worried about Vanderbilt, and I'd be curious to see how Vanderbilt responds. Right, where the spotlights come off of them a little bit. Right. Do they come back to earth, or does that create a little bit of a chip on their shoulder? And so LSU on defense right now playing really good football.
Opened as a Vanderbilt favorite in that one at home, which is weird to see, but that is the case. We touched on it briefly. Ole Miss and Georgia. Georgia opened nearly a touchdown favorite in this one. I'm so worried about Georgia's offense in this one. I sort of like Ole Miss to go in there. Where are you on this Georgia team? I've seen them now twice in person at home, and they lost to Alabama, and then Saturday down at Auburn. I was there for that one. This is probably, in a long, long time, Kirby Smart's worst Georgia team, but yet they're still getting dubs.
They're good. They're not elite. I think that they've got some struggles in the offensive line that if they're not careful, they're going to get their quarterback hurt. He took some shots the other night that were let's just say debilitating, to say the least. The kid keeps coming back and fighting back, and I give him a lot of credit, but they're going to have to protect. Now, do I think Ole Miss is Auburn on defense? No. So maybe they protect them a little bit more, but I still, and I've said this to you for a couple of weeks, I think their best recipe is utilizing Gunnar Stockton in the run game. When Mike Bobo has decided he's going to be a part in designed run, they've been more difficult to defend. I think all the pressure, though, is on the Georgia defense, Jim, because Trinidad Chambliss has been the difference, because the difference between him and Austin Simmons is the play's never over. And you have to continually account for the legs of Trinidad Chambliss, and I think that might give Ole Miss a slight edge.
Tricky road games for contenders: Oklahoma at South Carolina, Texas A&M at Arkansas, Texas at Kentucky, Missouri at Auburn. And then the big one in prime time, number 11 Tennessee, number 6 Alabama. Alabama's on a roll. Everything's good. Here comes Tennessee. Give me a quick thought on that game.
Well, we were talking about Fernando Mendoza having that kind of hump hurdle game, going on the road against a ranked opponent and playing his best football. Well, guess what? That's Joey Aguilar this week. Right?
Okay.
That Georgia game, he played super good. They're at home, right? Got the friendly confines. Now is the quarterback that took over for Nico, that has clearly been an upgrade, who's played really good football with it all on the line, on the road, rivalry game. He has to have his best game for them to win, period. I think watch Joey Aguilar and see how he performs. That will tell you where Tennessee's at in the fourth quarter.
We really don't know how good this Tennessee team is. Syracuse, Aguilar played well. ETSU, Georgia, he did his part. Missed field goal. UAB's bad. At Mississippi State, Arkansas. Now here's Alabama. So we find out what Tennessee really is.
In almost every category in the Arkansas game last week, except for one, Arkansas dominated the stat sheet, but the turnover margin was -3 for Arkansas.
Yeah, and knock on wood, that's something Alabama hasn't really done all season long. Fun weekend ahead. Halfway point, Tom Luginbill, ESPN, with his hat game cranked up with the Colonels.
Big win for the Colonels, baby. They beat number 15 Austin Peay.
Woo.
North Alabama this week in Flowtown.
Well, hey, you're going to get to see it?
No, but I do get to see the following week when they've got ranked Tarleton State coming to Richmond. So I get to see that and see how they play. They've won 11 straight games at home. So we'll see. And it's all so far, my son hasn't snapped one over the head of a punter or a holder. So we're in good shape.
How do you speak that into the universe, man? Come on. Come on, Lugs. I'll be in Tuscaloosa this weekend for a little Tennessee Saturday night. That'll be fun.
Good for you.
We'll see you next Monday with Monday Morning Live, brought to you by our friends at MyBookie. Promo code NEXTROUND. The next round actually starts in a few minutes. Have a great Monday, everybody. See you, Lugs.
Yeah.